Alright, we are long overdue for a update on my aquaponics project. I will admit I've been a little bit preoccupied with my video projects and the learning curve behind that. But it shouldn't be necessarily an excuse to neglect this thing. Basically, all I've been really doing is feeding my fish and topping up with water and just sort of, maintaining it, right? And just letting this thing grow like however it wishes to. So in the back, I think I have some sage plant. I think that's like a one-time growth kind of a thing, and I think it's done. So I think it needs to be plucked. So I'm going to pluck that today. I'm also going to remove these carrots. They've been in here since like June the 6th. I mean, they've been in here for over 9 months. I pulled some carrots. I've eaten some carrots. They've been not bad. Yeah, so the parsley has been largely, like, it's always looked like this, even right from the growth of it. So I'm not 100% sure what's going on. I've tried to Google around and see if it's a nutrient deficiency or and I just haven't really figured it out why. I mean, it grows, it just doesn't seem like it's growing as ideally as it should be or could be. I think I'm getting a lot of light competition in here, so that's probably a bad thing. These lights, they're not as bright as they used to be. I'm thinking about getting a third one, but I'm not too sure exactly, but I'm leaning on getting a new one. Just something I can put in the middle. Actually, I'm thinking about getting maybe like a bulb style one, so I can like put it down for, if I'm growing something new, I can have like a light over it instead, and then, later on or whatever, I can just sort of put it up. But I gotta look at that, sooner rather than later, but in a future video. So other than that, I'm gonna pluck some carrots. So as you can see, like there is a carrot kicking here. I think the challenges with the carrots is it's not impossible, but I think what happened was the seeds were too high up and they weren't submerged into the buckets big enough. And then because I'm growing them with these rocks like size, it's not exactly an ideal home for them. I think if I were to use like the rocks that I'm seeing in the goldfish tank or the fish tank, I think that would be much better. So carrots, I think, are definitely plausible to grow in an aquaponics system. I just think that these grow beds are just not going to be the way to go about it. So I have grown actually bigger ones. I mean, what's the biggest one that I have in here for just like a little bit of reference? I mean, we're talking like a little over an inch and a half or so, a little less than an inch and a half for the biggest one here. Earlier in my previous video, you'd probably see that I've got some bigger ones, and that was because I think they were just deeper into the bucket. So actually, one of the little excuses that I had for putting this off is I was waiting for the nurseries and all the garden centers to start opening up again so I could start buying some plants off of them. And more recently, in the last couple of weeks, I figured, well, I don't have another go at the spinach, and use these. Now the reason why I think these failed before was I was just trying to put them in just enough so the water would touch it, and I was hoping to get the wicking effect, but I was leaving it out in the light, and I was getting like a lot of I don't think it was mold, but it was like an algae growth or something. And needless to say, I didn't really like that. So what I'm going to attempt with this is I'm going to put this in, and I'm going to bury this into the grow bed. And the whole goal behind this is essentially preventing the seed itself from falling into the bed so it can grow. And while I'm at it, because I had some house plants that pretty much failed, it's a combination of too much water or too little water. That, and I don't have a green thumb, so I'm still learning that. So I'm going to use this. This is a fairly larger, this is actually my largest one. It doesn't have any drainage or anything like that, so I got to be mindful of that. And the idea behind that is I'm actually going to plant a spinach, and I'm going to go, pardon the mess here, but I'm going to plant it and have it at the window ledge here. So I just planted this one here just today here, just kind of replanted it, and this one here is kind of surviving, but I think it's again abusing the water scheduling a little bit. I don't have a system for it. Sometimes I forget, and I don't know. Alright, so it's in there, and I'm going to leave it a little bit exposed for the next little while to monitor it, but once I start seeing some life growing, I will bury that with more of these little rocks. And I didn't do that in here. I just added a couple little seeds in the middle there. So I'm just going to water it, put it on the window ledge, and
hope the best that I can. Alright, so I decided to go out and get a light for the seed anyway. Mostly because I really had no reason not to. As they say, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And I know this is a known problem, so here it is. Alright, and there she is, plugged in with the goal of basically putting extra light on the seed and adding to this little enclosure. Something I'd like to do in the future is get some shiny stuff here and stick it up here somehow in some way. But other than that, this is my next test. Let's see where it goes.